Hey, I'm Eric. I'm making a game, but before I'm making a game, I'm making a tool for getting lots of voice acting audio into a game because I'm going to need it. I'll need it. And I tried also to make it a more generally useful tool that other people will use besides me. We'll see how that goes. At the least, though, I'll try to make it very easy to use so that when I go to different voice actors and say, can you make some audio for my game using this tool? Can you perform using this tool? They'll say, yeah, it ain't no big thing. It's fine. I'll do it. And yeah. So anyways, I'm going to demo it today. I've got it just pretty close to being ready to release. It will be free. It will be open source. It's called Chirp. And let me explain what Chirp is a bit. After I get done demoing Chirp, I'm going to talk a little bit about open source for the Godkiller as well. But let's start with the demo of Chirp. Okay, so come over here, and bam, here's Chirp. Friedlaw, hey, I'm going to do a little demo here. Okay, so Chirp, this is the starting page of it. I've got a script loaded into it. It's just a sort of a silly script I wrote a while back. What is this tool for generally? It's for voice actors to record lines, and then the software knows where the start and end of lines are as they record them, and it allows the overall performance to be kind of consolidated and pre-edited, selected before it's sent off to a client. We'll just say a client for now. Someone who wants the audio, right? It also saves timing information in the form of markers so that this audio can be chopped up into assets that are ready to go into games or whatever the production is. So right now I've got one script in here. I could change the script to something else by loading a file onto it in the Fountain screenwriting format. It's a pretty popular open standard for screenplays. Many tools support it. Okay, I'm going to leave the script alone though because I've already got the one loaded in that I want. After it's loaded in, I can change characters. Now that means which character are we reading for? The user of this is the voice actor. The voice actor wants to record some lines in a script. They will generally be interested in voicing one character. And definitely in one recording session, they would stick with one character even if they were going to do multiple. So this script has 3 characters. There's 3 stupid buttons down at the bottom for each of the characters. If I pick Wilma, then all of Wilma's lines are normal and the other characters' lines are grayed out. I can pick Plundy. It also shows down the bottom 9 lines for Plundy. I'll go back to Eric, who is, I guess it's me. I will do a recording session and I will play myself. In the script, there's a character named Eric, and he's in an office, and a visitor comes, and he welcomes the visitor in, and sales pitches Chirp, just kind of like I'm doing right now. It's a little bit like Inception. Okay, so let's start a session. So dialogue comes up. It says, start recording with your DAW, digital audio workstation. DAWs are things like Reaper, Audacity, Audition, Pro Tools. Every voice actor has a DAW. My software does not record the audio because I assume a voice actor spent a lot of time getting their DAW set up just how they like it, and you don't want to mess with that. My software is asking the voice actor to go do what they always do when they record for a session. Go to your DAW, hit the record button. And when you've got that recording, come back and click this button down here that says, the mic is alive. Okay, so I will follow the instructions here. Okay, I'll go over to my DAW that I like to use, which is Adobe Audition. I'll hit the record button. Okay, it's recording. It's recording even me talking right now. That's fine. I'm gonna come back over here. Okay, pausing. So I'm pausing because when I hit pause, it stops the audio that I'm speaking right now from being considered as part of the recording session. The DAW is still recording. Just my software is saying whatever is recording now, we're going to kind of think of it as non-performance audio. Okay, I'll resume the session and I'll just start recording some lines from the script, just like a voice actor would. Welcome to Chirp, ready for the tour. Welcome to Chirp, ready for the tour? Welcome to Chirp, ready for the tour? Okay, so what I did there is just a typical say the line 3 times, 3 takes kind of thing. And then I paused because I wanted to explain this a little bit here and have it be considered as non-performance audio, excluded from the session. You can also think of this pause as useful for like somebody comes into the room and wants to talk to you for a moment, or you're having a discussion with an engineer in a recording booth, or something you don't want to be part of the performance audio. You hit pause. Okay, so I'll go back to recording. Sure. Oh, don't worry about Plundy. He would never attack you unless he thought you were a bad person. Oh, don't worry about Plundy. He would never attack you unless he thought you were a bad person. Ah, don't worry about Plundy. He would never attack you unless he thought you were a bad person. You're a voice actor? You're a voice actor? You're a voice actor. Okay. So one of the advantages of this software is there's no extra time you'll spend editing if you choose to record out of sequence. Like if you don't go in script order. If you're delivering audio to a client, typically it would be seen as just a little bit sloppy to have all the lines mixed around in different places. And so most voice actors, when they're doing this kind of delivery, they'll just follow a discipline of sticking to script order to make their editing less cumbersome before they send their file off to a client. Some voice actors just send the audio along without worrying about that kind of editing at all. That's fine too. But what we'll see in a bit is that it just doesn't matter with Chirp what order you want to record the lines, and it won't make more editing work for you. Okay, so I'm going to go back to a previous line, and I'm just going to try recording in a different type of voice. So I'll just come back up here. Sure. Oh, don't worry about Blondie. He would never attack you unless he thought you were a bad person. You're a voice actor? Right. So Chirp is software I wrote for voice actors. You record your lines while running Chirp, and it adds markers in the audio file that show where lines begin and end. I can go back to any line, re-record it as many times as I want. There's not going to be a large editing task associated with that. Welcome to Chirp. Ready for the tour? Sure. Oh, don't worry about Plundy. He would never attack you unless he thought you were a bad person. Okay, so there's another nice thing about this automatic ordering that's going to happen later. Sometimes you'll have some very subtle differences in performance, and it's easier to do them going through the lines all at one time instead of trying to do them in threes or multiple takes. So like if you want like a higher energy take, but you want it to sound kind of consistent across all the lines, then this type of recording style where you just go through continuously from one line to the next is going to be easier than doing the multiple takes. Okay, let's just end the session here. And then I'll come over here and I'll stop my recording, which has gotten pretty long. It's got all the non-performance blathering. Okay, now let's look here at this part. It's recording. It's recording even me talking. So I'm hot. Okay, so here is where there's a start tone that's been put into the recording. Okay. Again, Chirp is not doing any recording itself. It's only saving timing information. So inside the web browser, there's nothing about the audio file that we're looking at inside the DAW yet. Okay. But in order for the timing information to be correlated correctly with the start and ends of takes, it needs to find this start session tone, and that's why it plays that right at the beginning of the session. Okay, so I'm going to save this. I'm going to come back to Chirp. I'm going to pick Review Audio. Okay, important thing here, your files will never be uploaded to a server. It all stays with you. So when I say let's attach an audio file, it's not sending it off to a web server, it's sending it to the local browser. I'm going to take the recording I just made called Eric Test, load it in. Okay, it loaded in that file, it found the start tone at the beginning, and now it's got the script showing again, but each line has got all the takes associated with it. So on this first line, apparently I did 6 takes, and they're all right here. I can listen to them. Okay, that one was just a little bit of junk. I'm just going to exclude it. It's nothing.
Welcome to Chirp, ready for the tour.
Okay.
Welcome to Chirp, ready for the tour? Welcome to Chirp, ready for the tour?
Okay, then there's, I think these next 2 are going to be the ones where I backtracked and came to the line a second time. Oh, that one's an exclude.
Welcome to Chirp, ready for the tour?
Okay.
Sure, 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 sure.
Okay. So I'll exclude some more.
Sure, sure.
All right.
Oh, don't worry about Plenty. He would never attack you unless he thought you were a bad person. Oh, don't worry about Plenty. He would never attack you unless he thought you were a bad person. Ah, don't worry about Plenty. He would never attack you unless he thought you were a bad person. Oh, don't worry about Plenty. He would never attack you unless he thought you were a bad person. Oh, don't worry about Plenty. He would never attack you.
Now, let's just say I hate that one. Let's say I just hate in general all the ones where I sound like a fantasy elf.
Sure, sure.
And I just get rid of them.
Welcome to...
That's it. Okay.
You're a voice actor? You're a voice actor? You're a voice actor. Let's come back up here.
Okay, that one was non-performance. It just means I just didn't hit the button to exclude it. So I'll just exclude that one there.
You're a voice actor?
Okay.
Right. So Chirp is software built for voice actors. You record your lines while running.
Okay. I am noticing in this very early version of the software that a few of the takes are missing. But they're still going to be there on your original file. So there's nothing dangerous about this. Like right now I'm making selections about what I want to keep in the final delivery file, but I'm not doing anything that touches the original file. So that file is always there. You can always come back to it. So now that I've gone through all of the takes in that last session, I can say let's end the review. And it gives me the option to generate a delivery file. I'll go ahead and do it. The delivery file, it's just got all the takes that I marked I want to keep. It's got all the non-performance audio excluded from it, and it's in script order. So even though I recorded things out of sequence in some cases, it's going to be line 1, all the takes for line 1, then line 2, etc. So I click Generate Delivery. It created a file that just downloaded. Okay, so I can open that up. I'll open it up inside my DOS so we can see what's there. Okay, so this is just the takes that I selected, no non-performance audio.
Welcome to Chirp, ready for the tour. Welcome to Chirp, ready for the tour. Welcome to Chirp, ready for the tour. Sure, 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 sure. Oh, don't worry about Plundy. He would never attack you unless he thought you were a bad person. Oh, don't worry about Plundy. He would never attack you unless he thought you were a bad person. Ah, don't worry about Plundy. He would never attack you unless he thought you were a bad person. Oh, don't worry about Plundy. He would never attack you unless he thought you were a bad person. You're a voice actor? You're a voice actor? You're a voice actor? You're a voice actor? Right. So Chirp is software I wrote for voice actors. You record your lines while running Chirp and add markers in the audio file that show where lines begin and end.
Okay, that's it. So the original one was, it was minutes long. It was almost 5 minutes long, and this new one is less than 1 minute. Now there's another feature that I'm about ready to add. It's not here yet. I'll probably get it in today. It doesn't seem hard at all. I will generate a marker file that can be loaded into the DAW, and it will bring in ranges. So it'll be like, here's line 1, take 1, line 2, take 2. It'll be like that, right? So that's what you get to deliver to the client. You deliver the audio kind of neatly organized, non-performance audio edited out automatically. You might still go in and touch up things there. You might still go in and remove some breaths, some plosives. Depends, what you're normally going to do when you deliver audio. Some people have recording environments where they're not like, they're 90%, and a little bit of editing kind of makes up that last 10% of professionalism to get little artifacts and things out. This was a terrible recording environment. It's just the microphone attached to my computer, so it's got like a ton of like background noise and stuff like that. So yeah, that's the gist of Chirp, and it will be released as open source and available on a website for anyone to use sometime this month. I'll make another announcement when it's out, but it should be ready pretty soon. Okay, moving on to topic number 2. Just gonna talk a little bit about this, and if anyone happens to be on the chat that wants to talk more about it, please just send a little chat message at me, and I'll talk about it. So open source. I would like to open source the Godkiller Chapter 1. There's not really too much of an obstacle to doing it. It's just a question of how much work I want to put into it to do it nicely. So the trouble is, I don't want every single thing that's part of the Godkiller. Why do I always have to have this open to my taxes? Okay. So if I come over here and I look at what's in the assets directory of this, there's a bunch of third-party assets that I bought from the Unity Asset Store, and I cannot put them in an open source repository. I do not have distribution rights. It's not licensed to me for that. The other thing is like the media that goes with the game. I don't want to like open source this and just make it so like somebody can make a copy of this and change the title of it a little bit and then resell it. What I'm really more interested in is enabling people to mod and add to the game. So those two things I don't want to really release, the third-party stuff and the media assets. So the main part of making this work would be coming up with some sort of build system where those things that I don't want to release as open source are excluded and not available in the repository. But if someone builds, like maybe they have a copy of the Godkiller on their computer, and then they have like the open source version, there might be some little script they can run that just copies over files from the Godkiller installation, so that they can have a modifiable version of the game that they can do things with. So that's the big obstacle to making it a useful open source repo or a valuable open source repo. I'm considering doing something that's a half step towards that, which is in some ways is really more just advertising. I might begin with dumping all the source minus third party and media assets into a repo and put a big old ugly disclaimer in the README file. Sorry, these things are excluded. We haven't worked out a build script or process yet that would allow you to make a full working project. But if you would like to work with me on this, I will be happy to invest some time in it. Maybe I'm looking for a collaborator, is another way of saying this. And that might be what I do next. I think my thoughts will form up as I go through and at least do that first step of making a separation. I might discover along the way, after I've found a good way to separate out those releasable parts from the unreleasable parts, what the build script is that would allow like a current installation to get copied over and make a full working build. But yeah, why do I want to open source it? I guess it seems like a nice way to find collaborators. And I don't even just mean like all free work. Like, it's quite possible that somebody goes in and starts playing with it and they love working in it, or at least they're interested in it. And they might be an awesome person to actually hire to add a new feature into the Godkiller Chapter 2, right? So I could hire a contractor to write some code, but if there's somebody already interested in the project and they know the code base, then that's someone that I'm extra interested in working with. I'm not really a great seeker of free work, but I do like finding people who are good collaborators, I guess. And having a project available as open source would go a long ways towards that. The other aspect of it that appeals to me is I benefit greatly from open source releases from other people. There's quite a bit of open source code in different projects I've worked on. Even just I go to work, and as my normal job, releasing commercial software, everything is built in open source. So I feel like if there's some pieces that I'm releasing that might be more generally useful, then I'm participating well in that community that's benefited me. All right, so I think that's about it. I am going to wrap this up. I have been pretty consistent. I've gone to 4 weeks in a row where every Sunday I brought the stream up at this time, noon Pacific time, wherever your time zone is. I don't know what time it is for you. So if you want to catch me later, this is the time when I'll definitely try to be here. If not a long time, just for 15 minutes or so, I'll just demo recent progress. I do pop in at other times, but they're not on a schedule. So this is the only scheduled time I'm keeping at this point. All right, that's it for me. I'm going to stop the stream. If anyone's lurking, Fright Law, thanks for hanging out for a bit. If anyone else is lurking, thanks for lurking. Stopping the stream. Stopping the stream.